And in this province of Gauteng, we've seen a hands-off approach by Premier Lesufi and the provincial government, and we've seen a don't care attitude by the Action South Africa, EFF and ANC led council here in Gauteng. Thank you very much, Karabo, and good morning to ladies and gentlemen, to the panel that's here today, and of course to those people watching at home. It's with a sense of great urgency that we address you today on the water crisis in South Africa. That's in South Africa generally, but Johannesburg in particular. 2 months ago, the South Hills water tower right here had outages affecting water supply to residents of Ward 56 and Ward 57 in Johannesburg, including schools, old age homes, and an orphanage for a period of almost 2 weeks. Nationally, from Machubeng to Lekwa, from eThekwini to Makanda, to Mzimvubu to Mangaung, daily outages are becoming the norm in many areas of our country. Some of these communities across the country have not had water for months, despite having the necessary infrastructure. Behind me on this board, you can see the statistics plain as day. These are the provinces and the metros that have experienced water interruptions for more than 2 days. In Mpumalanga, 70% of homes have experienced water outages lasting longer than 2 days. Nationally, 36% of homes experience water outages lasting longer than 2 days. Yet, in the Western Cape, as you can see, only 3% of homes experience outages. And we'll get to why that is just now. This is data from 2023. Since then, the situation, particularly in places like Gauteng, has worsened dramatically. The decline has been devastating from a province like Gauteng that used to be the second most reliable provider of water behind the Western Cape. Now, I don't need to tell you how bad it is. Instead, I want to tell you today one person's story. I want to tell you about Portia Mantle, a single mother of 4 children in Vergenoegd informal settlement outside Attridgeville, without a job, who uses her social grant to buy water. There is a municipal tank outside her home, but it is always empty. So she and other residents are forced to buy water from people who sell it in the street at 5 rand for 20 litres. Her 300 rand a month grant must feed 5 people, but now it must also buy water too. Water that should be her democratic right. Portia is just one of many South Africans desperate for their local governments to do the basics, provide water as they are supposed to do. Across the country, local government councillors come under tremendous pressure from communities to resolve water-related issues. In most cases, the solutions are out of their control, as the senior leadership, who are meant to plan and implement proper water management in their towns and cities, have checked out and are absent. Earlier this year, a task team was formed, led by the Deputy President. To date, no noticeable interventions have been initiated, as residents face worsening outages and millions of rands of water continues to be lost through leaks and illegal connections. Just yesterday, there were reports that in the south of Joburg, Region G, the city loses 60 million rand a year, primarily due to illegal connections. A recent DA oversight inspection in the Alfred Nzo District Municipality of the Eastern Cape has revealed a humanitarian crisis. We found contaminated wells and rivers, people sharing water sources with animals, and an abandoned water treatment plant. The Free State's Kopanong municipality has been reported to have active sewage leaks in Betuli and Springfontein, prompting the South African Human Rights Commission to call for urgent intervention by the Kopanong municipality, as well as the provincial government. Separately, we wrote to the Human Rights Commission last year around the national water crisis, and the matter was escalated to their National Legal Services Unit, but since then we've heard nothing further. One of the follow-up action steps from today will be to follow up with them and request them to now treat this with the urgency it deserves. The Free State and Northwest Water Boards face bankruptcy in the next 6 months due to the failure of local municipalities to pay for bulk supply. South African municipalities face significant challenges with bulk water debt, which totals over 22.4 billion rand nationally. Now, I can spend all morning talking about municipal water failure and action around the country, and my colleagues joining me today are going to elaborate on the crisis at a local level, highlighting some of the action steps the DA has taken. But I do think it is important to make this important point, is that no matter how much work is done at a national level, no matter how much planning is done at a national level, if local government cannot get its act together, if local municipalities cannot keep infrastructure maintained and reticulation services maintained, then nothing national government does or says can be implemented at a local level. And this is the reality. It is also why the 3% in the Western Cape is so significant. And it sends out a very clear message that it doesn't have to be this way. Provincial and local government need to step up to the plate. And in this province of Gauteng, we've seen a hands-off approach by Premier Lesufi and the provincial government, and we've seen a don't care attitude by the Action South Africa, EFF and ANC led council here in Gauteng. Now, 2 weeks ago, the President wanted to declare a state of disaster over the spate of foodborne illnesses. So we cannot move from crisis to crisis, throwing our hands up in despair. We do not accept dry taps as a new normal, and neither should residents. And what the 3% shows very clearly is that when you have a municipality that's fixing the leaks, that's doing proper credit control, that's paying its bulk water providers, that is making sure that the relevant maintenance of water reticulation and storage and pump schemes are done, you can avoid this situation. It is not the inevitable in South Africa. There is hope, and we can change the ending of the story. Everything to fix the crisis is already available. And again, facing drought in the Western Cape and the city of Cape Town, it is the provincial government working in close collaboration with local government that has been able to get people through many of these water crises that have faced them. We do not see the same sense of coordination here with a hands-off attitude by the very people who should be getting their hands stuck in resolving this issue. It's going to require a collaborative approach at all levels of government. It cannot just be a local government issue. Provincial government and national government also have roles to play, as do industry stakeholders and more public-private partnerships. When people vote, they can bring real long-term solutions to the water crisis anywhere in the country. Earlier this year, the Auditor General confirmed again that the DA is the most responsible party at a municipal level. 19 clean audits. The DA municipalities proved that they use public funds the best. 63% of DA municipalities achieved clean audits, far and away the highest achievers nationally. In 2023, the City of Cape Town announced they would allocate 10.9 billion rand towards infrastructure. This is the biggest spend of any metro in South Africa, and that amount is bigger than Johannesburg and eThekwini's infrastructure budgets combined. Poor planning on the part of local municipalities has resulted in aged infrastructure, and the Action South Africa, EFF and ANC alliance and the Johannesburg City Council have not got to grips with this particular problem in the way that it should be, and have not provided adequate budget to effect proper repairs and maintenance in the city. The numbers do not lie. Where the DA governs, we deliver, we partner with the private sector and do what it takes to give South Africans what they need. Jobs and inclusive growth, but also the infrastructure that is so necessary to provide that. There is no way that a municipality can attract investment, can bring industry and other operations to a city to provide jobs if you do not have the most basic infrastructure right. So we have a plan to involve private companies in water infrastructure projects to overcome the funding hurdles, work towards developing water-sensitive cities and optimize stormwater and urban waterways for improved flood control and water reuse, as well as wastewater. 3, a program to develop water-wise citizens. We have to change our relationship with water in South Africa. We must be one of the only countries in the world remaining that flushes clean drinking water down into sewage systems. We need to adopt a scientific method in assessing the risks related to chemical pollution. And we need to consider a dedicated, ring-fenced grant for water infrastructure maintenance. And we must fast-track dam and water treatment works, infrastructure development and maintenance. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And every single city and town needs to plan for future demand. After the 2018 drought, which affected the city of Cape Town and the Western Cape, the city embarked on an ambitious plan to ensure that the city had sufficient water and reduced its reliance on rainwater by introducing a 3-pronged approach, including a groundwater aquifer, use of a state-of-the-art treatment plant, and desalination of seawater. This is the kind of thing that all municipalities should be implementing across South Africa. We want to protect our nation's most precious natural resource, and our country's future is at stake. Securing that future depends on citizens. We do not have a constitutional mandate to fix water issues where we don't have the opportunity to govern. And we want to start making a dent in the national water crisis with your vote in 2026. This year, many of you voted to rescue South Africa, and we're doing that nationally in the government of national unity to try and do what we can to rescue South Africa. DA ministers are hard at work in their portfolios trying to make the difference. The reality is that Portia's story cannot just be another that we hear in an increasingly desensitized way. We need to make sure that we turn this around, and we can restore the dignity of our people by making sure that their constitutional or basic human right to water is upheld and fulfilled. It won't be easy, it won't be quick, but as you will hear from DA leaders here today, it can be done with the right will and the right determination. We expect now collective effort, and I believe that by working together, that the provincial government stopping its hands-off approach adopted by the Lesufi administration, and this city council getting off its hands, and the Action South Africa ANC EFF coalition in the city doing something tangible about this water crisis, I believe that we can start to rescue not only Johannesburg from the water crisis, but South Africa from this water crisis. Thank you very much.